Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, may I have your attention, please? Are you ready to engage in a mind-blowing experience and hear talks about life, technology, entertainment, and business? The next episode of HIPTHER Talks starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of HIPTHER Talks. Today we are having with us Kamran Hedjri. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Welcome, Kamran. Thank you for taking up the invitation.
Pleasure.
Kamran is the CEO of PXP Financial.
Yes, correct.
And we really want to know more about your background, about your company's background. Who are you? What is PXP Financial? What's everything about this? So please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Kamran. I've been in the payment industry for the last, since '94, from the beginning, and it has been a fantastic journey. What I can tell you about my company that I'm working for is PXP Financial. We are at the core PI licensed company in UK, where we actually offer acquiring services, card acquiring services. We are a principal member of Visa, MasterCard. We do have locations in 5 cities: Hyderabad in India, Sofia, Vienna, UK, and US, New York. We operate in 3 markets: UK, Europe, and US. Currently, we process payments and we enable merchants across multiple verticals and sectors like gaming, online gaming, retail, hospitality, financial services, cruise, ticketing. And our job is to ensure merchants can sell both online and in-store. So we are the enabler and the one helping the merchants to be able to get money in and money out to their customers in a very secure and efficient way. And we've been doing it for the last 20 odd years, right? And we have got the experience in these sectors.
Sounds really full. Like you have a full palette of services that you handle over there. But how did PXP started?
But PXP actually started in 2 directions, right? One direction, that was the company PXP, right, which was called Serve-based, and the other company was actually secure payment that was called Calixa, right? Mm-hmm. And Calixa was actually a spin-off of an online gaming company called Bet and Win. Then it changed the name to BWin, which was an idea that came to the market. Okay, I would like to actually establish my own payment company, right? And they started back in 2001. I joined the company to help them to establish that company, and we built up a very robust payment platform in an online environment. And 2014, the paths crossed, right? So Serve-based, which is now called PXP back then, we acquired as Calixa the PXP, right? Because we wanted to be both online and in-store. So they were predominantly, the PXP was in-store and in retail and hospitality. And Calixa was online and in more of a like gaming and online gaming. So that would have, that helped us to increase our channels and our sectors. And 2014, that came together. The company was called Calixa until 2019, and then we renamed the whole company to PXP Financial back in 2019. So it's a company that goes across multiple sectors and offers across multiple channels, right? Both online and in-store.
Okay, as you were talking about how this took place and that you're quite on the market for some time now. I think it would be a really good opportunity to ask someone that is in the financial industry. How's the payments market in 2022 and 2023 that's coming? Where are we right now? What's the trend? Where are we going?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic question, right? And it's a very broad one, right? So,
yeah.
so last 22 years, I would say, we went through two different, cycle of regulation. So regulation is always good, and then we had a little bit of Brexit in between, right? So and then the globalization, and then we had a little bit of the Corona, and then a pandemic is coming also. So it has been a very turbulent market. So if you think about it, a lot has happened, right? And now, if I just want to
summarize, sorry to interrupt you. It's really funny. I mean, it's a way that you're talking, like we can see how big is the market if we talk about like a little bit of Brexit, a little bit of Corona. So the financial market is so big that global scale events are like a little bit of this and that. It's really.
No,
I
don't by no means I want to diminish the size of the effect of those things, right? But what I'm trying to say is a lot happening. If you think about the time span and the things that's happening to us throughout this, and then you see the effect and how it's going to happen and then change us. It's interesting to see. The regulators, right? They changed the whole market, how the payment industry. So I'm focusing it very narrowly because there is not enough scope to talk, and I'm not by no means expert to talk outside the payment. So I'm just a very narrow guy on the payment sector, right? So I say regulatories, right, like the Payment Service Directive 1 and 2 changed the whole regulatory surface and changed how the banks actually were dominantly the market, and then started to make sure that other competitors can come to the market, like payment institutions, e-monies. A lot of those started to come about, right? Because the regulators enabled those changes and made sure that there is a market for a payment institute and an e-money. We are, as a result of that regulatory changes that enabled us to become a payment institution. Visa, MasterCard accepted that a non-bank, like a payment institution, which was not a full bank, can actually come and service this market. And we were more innovative and more, just faster, right, than a big bank, right? So we could actually adapt to the technologies and come up with the good solutions. And this helped to create a sort of a new set of companies. Payment Service Directive 2 started to talk about, okay, how can we actually open up the market so that the dominance of the banks, controlling the data and accessing the customer data, it opened it up. And then there you have got, companies like, AISPs and PISPs that open banking started to come, right? So I'm just setting the scene where we want to go, because the trend was always about cards and how the cards are going to be, transactions. Then the alternative payment options came about, the wallets, the stored value cards, the mobile payments, all sorts of things that came, right, and then changed the surface. Now the open banking is a topic, right? So 2022 is question of open banking still, very, very, very present. Cards are still in our life, but are the cards in a digital format? Is the way to go? Yes, I think so, right? It's going to get more digitalized, right? I'm using this more than my phone, if you can see it, more than my card, right? This is the type of things used again and again and again, right? And that's where it's going. It's going to get more digitalized, right? Because what happened with Corona, right? The shops were closed, and there was a big push towards the digitalization, right? So everything is getting more digitalized, right? And the customers are more used to this digital experience. They want to have a unified experience across all the shoppings and experience they want to do, right? So this omni-channel unified experience should be there, right? And then it goes also towards, okay, we've got also the crypto stuff and digital assets, right? That's also still in the mix, right? We see it all the time with the big cycles of the news, right? But there are also stable coins which were affected, right? But also still a big topic, right? And then also the banks, right? The central banks, the CBDCs, right? The central bank digital currencies. They are all, a lot of the central banks are working on this and coming up with that. So we've got the digital, right? Visualization, the digital asset and the CBDCs, the whole open banking, which is a topic, right? And the cards, still a topic. The alternative payment options is a topic, right? And then it goes towards the direction also with cash, right? Cash is still there, right? Is it going to die? I don't think so. It's still going to be part of our life going forward. So there are three pillars, right? The digitals, the cash, and digital assets. They are all going to coexist for a while, right? And we will see how that innovation is still going to go forward, right? And I think the other thing that I just want to add, that just jumped to my mind, the energy is a big topic, right? And the energy is going to be a big factor that could affect the whole mining in these crypto worlds and the energy, and everybody's talking about now the energy and do you want to really spend so much energy to mine things? And those things are also another factor that comes into the mind to discuss these things. It's a lot of different topics, right? But
a whole lot of different topics. We could have a podcast for each one of them. But I want to ask you something. What regarding the pandemic and post-pandemic situation all over the globe, what are the major shifts that happened in the payments industry? Because of course a lot have happened, but there must be a couple of changes that are drastic.
I can tell you a couple of them, right? One of them was, because we worked with both retails, right, and online, right? So online was always online, and the retail we had a sort of a 70-30 mix, right? 70 in store and 30 in online, right? No, it's other way around, right? So there was a big shift towards actually more digital than in store, right? People are used to and got trained to actually use the online shopping and online and digital way of interacting, right? So that was a big topic, right? And I think the major part that I'm also affected is how we work together, right? Usually, we used to come to the offices, sit together in the office, interact in an office. There was this feeling that I have to go to the office every day to work, right? Yep. But no, the home working and the whole interaction, right, is a completely different way of working together, right? And people got used to it. Before, if you think about it, can we have this disaster recovery and all those discussions that we had, is people going home and one day the office is not accessible, what would happen? We had scenarios for it, right? And now it's easy. Nobody needs to be in the office. Everybody can work from anywhere, right? And that changed it. So office space, right? The way we are interacting, the whole interaction, and also the psychological aspect of it, right? How do we actually still remain social without the socialization that we need to do, right? And that's another factor that is coming to my mind, right? That's a challenge, right?
Yeah, and indeed, this changed really fast. Let's say from people that were not used to live without the social interface. I think the transition went really smooth considering everything going on. And of course, this I think this left a huge mark on the financial market as well. But you were talking about technology evolution and stepping up on the digital side of things. I want to talk about something that's really sensitive to some of the people. Artificial intelligence in the payments industry, the role of AI-assisted payments compared to the classic or or standard payments procedures. What's your take on this?
I think we need it, right? I think it's a necessity in our life, and that's the natural next development stage that we need to get to, and we are interacting with it all the time, right? I mean, it's we are using it without even knowing that we are using it, right? So, look, simplest thing, right, is to do with fraud detection modules, right? We used to work with very static rule-based expert systems, right? There are static rules, and that you say, okay, this set of rules, if they hit, then there is a certain action with that transaction, right? So if somebody is doing the transaction, then there is these rules we apply on them, and then if there is a some kind of a scoring, and then something comes out, and then the transaction is either rejected or we pass it, right? And that was a static way of looking at it. And fraudsters, what are they good at it? They learn, right? And when they learn, they start to understand how the system behaves, and then they say, bypass it, right? So that's a very static way of dealing with a fraud. Now, in order to accommodate, actually address that dynamic approach of a fraudster, right? They learn. You need to also have a machine learning and a system that can learn the transactions and the behavior of the other parts, right? So in fraud detection systems, we are already using a lot of AI, algorithms and machine learning and adaptation to the transaction patterns. So in order to actually address those transactions and have a better fraud detection system. So that's one element, to keeping, because what is important in payment system, it needs to be fast, it needs to be secure, it needs to protect the customers and all those things, right? So that security aspect and protection of the customer can happen better. So that's it's happening, right? And the other thing is the merchant wants to actually understand the customers better, right? And they don't want, if you look at the number of the payment options across, right, and the things that they exist. So in order to adapt to the customer, they need to understand the customers' behaviors, right, and actually offer the right type of a payment option, right? And that's the selection is and understanding. There is another aspect that the AI can come to the game and understands from the patterns, from the data, the behavior of the customer, so that how is that actually is possible to offer the best payment option and the best offer. It's also a same thing with the marketing offerings. It's not only the payment selection, also the things that are more related to that customer. And again, a lot of things is, how is the customer's life cycle and the churn. So from the transaction and the spend behavior, you can also predict certain behavior, certain churn, so that you can actually address and then extend the life cycle of a customer and extend that that the customer remains longer with you. So there are also elements of the AI, used across there. I think we are using it in multiple ways, right? And it's already deployed into a set aspect, but it's not so visible to anybody, right? And you're actually interacting with it on a daily basis.
So what, in your opinion, what are the best AI tools for payments that are on the market right now?
The various ones. I mean, there are a lot of people doing it in-house. They build it, and then there's this H2O AI. That's something that you can actually look and up, and there is a nice demo from that, and they can start, and a lot of financial services use it also, right? The various ones. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think is the general attitude to this whole AI interfering with my transaction, AI having access to my financial details? What do you think that the attitude is right now, and do you think it's going to change?
I think it's a good question, right? And I think people in general, right, if you think about it, right, they don't feel safe if a machine controlling something, right? they're more feeling more safe, right? If there is a person, like if there is a train and there is no driver in it, and then they're sitting in that train, so there is a feeling, okay, what happens, right? So I mean, it's a little bit old-fashioned way of it, right? But then the newer generation, they're used to it, right? They
Yeah.
feel they interact with it all the time. They don't have that feeling that the older generation had, right? So it's a change of the mentality. Look, using the phone and paying for it, interacting on a social media, right? And then going forward, just not doing anything in the shop, right? Knowing the old style, right? It helps us to adapt to it. And I think our the generation that we have here just going to be part of their life. It's not going they won't know anything different. So I think it's just the adaptation, and it's getting easier and easier for the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree on that. Now, you mentioned that in the beginning of PXP, there was some gambling payments, industry interference. Let's mix these two topics together. What do you think that AI can deliver for the iGaming payments experience?
I mean, I think the one aspect, I'm just going game player protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making sure that in the gambling space, there is a protection for those players, and then is a responsible gaming, as they call it, right? The behavior, making sure that there is a certain identification of certain behavior, and the AI is used, and it can be also very beneficial to understand certain behavior, certain patterns, and identify the players or the persons that are affected and are in danger of any kind of a thing, and then interacts and predicts their behavior so that it can be addressed quicker, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one, right? The other one is very much on the offering and selection of the services, the games, the things that the preferences of those customers that can be also actually applied, and made sure that it's introduced into that space. There are just two aspects that I can think of right now, but there are many more things that we can bring into this.
I'm sure of that. I want to, as we're getting close to ending this session, I want to ask you about the 2023 goals and directions that PXP is taking on.
Yeah, I think we are big in US, right? So we are servicing the online gaming market quite extensively. So we would like to grow in that direction and expand our footprint. We are offering a very good retail solution in US and globally. So we want to actually then expand across that one. So this is one of the biggest goals that we have. And obviously we do want to continue our initiatives in the open banking. So we have established quite a bit of initial work in that and expand across that. As we said, we need to make sure that open banking is a part of that offering that all the merchants get, right? And we are not quite, advanced on the crypto and stablecoin and CBDCs, but we are early stages and we have started to offer our initial solution. So we will be looking at the market and going with the market and making sure that we are addressing that need and requirement as it comes and as it grows. So we want to make sure that we cover both fiat and crypto and stablecoin equally, when we go forward and see where the market is going. I think the other thing is, we just want to make sure that we are a good player on the market, offer good services, make our customers happy, get new customers, and be a good company and contribute to the experience in the payments and come with a couple of innovations hopefully next year.
Okay, so I wish you good luck with the expansion plan. I hope everything goes as you wish. If you have any closing statements for our audience, you're more than welcome to share it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I would like to wish everybody a successful and good and healthy time, right? And enjoy your journey when you do your payments. It's going to get easier and easier and easier as we go along, right?
Okay, thank you very much, Kamran, for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, with our audience, and to our audience. Thank you again for tuning in, and see you next week.
Thank you for joining. Be sure to check back next week for the next HIPTHER Talks and subscribe on Amazon Music, Overcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and Pandora.